I know you're here to see Don White, I am too, but we have a custom of doing an opening act. The opening act wasn't able to make it, so I'm it. Thank you, you may regret that. My name is Rob Peck, and I found out doing my due diligence and researching Don that Don and I have a few things in common. Don, thanks to Don's dad, he's half Irish. Thanks to my dad, I'm half off Jewish. But in homage to Don's Celtic lineage, I would like to play a little toot on the wee Irish flute and kick things off with a Celtic medley. Everybody. You know this one? Okay, this time just the name. This time, just that, man. Stereo. that was tremendous self-restraint to keep from clapping or tapping along. Entire tunes. Tremendous self-restraint. Please let me give a warm round of applause to my audience accompanist and bestest of friends, John Porcini. So, yet another thing that I have in common with the venerable Mr. White, in addition to having almost the same hairstyle, is that we are both published authors. Don's book, which I highly recommend, is called Memoirs of a Sea Student. A self-deprecating title that belies the consummate craftsmanship in which this book is written. I only wish I could say the same for this book, called It's a Juggle Out There. But this is the book that I wrote. Don and I were talking about what it's like to try to actually pull it all together and put it all on paper and somehow complete the project. It's kind of like giving birth to a bison. But I would like to share with you a little passage from It's a Juggle Out There. Let me first just ask, show of hands, how many of you have seen a waterfall?
Today?
How many of you are actual human beings? Because if you haven't seen a waterfall, you have not lived. And how many of you like waterfalls? How many of you even go so far as to say you love waterfalls? Good, this is my tribe. That's one of my main waterfall guides. Mike has taken me some wonderful ones. And, there's the one in Glendale Falls near a cabin that John's family owns that is partly the inspiration for this. It's titled The Wisdom of the Waterfalls, and it's prefaced with one line from a beautiful poem aptly titled Fluent by John Donahue. He writes, quote, "I would love to live my life the way a river flows, carried away by the surprise of its own unfolding." I can almost hear Greg Allman, rest in peace, singing in the first stanza of Blue Sky, "Walk along the river, sweet lullaby. It just keeps on flowing. It don't worry where it's going." Waterfalls. How do they blend sight and sound so seamlessly? How can they be both fluid artwork and mobile music? I can't explain it. But to me, waterfalls are harmony in motion. A churning current winding around boulders and cleaving through crevices until the river and the rocks gracefully interweave, twisting the rushing waters into liquid braids of play, power, and rhythmic peace. Okay, Peck, enough poetry. Get to the practical part. Oh, all right, alter ego, if you insist. Cascades are both inspiring and instructive. The water flows because it goes with gravity. Rather than resist the rocks barring their way, the current calmly winds its way around. Lesson 1. Why force when you can flow? Success stems more from fluidity and flexibility than fixed agendas. Try it and see yourself carried along by the surprise of your own unfolding. Lesson 2. Go with what you got. The only way a stream becomes a cascade is when something challenges its momentum. No resistance, no running water, and no rising to the sound of liquid music worthy of the name waterfalls. Without the rocks, the stream don't sing. Lesson 3. Impediments fuel ingenuity. It's the bumping into the barriers that compel the river to constantly reinvent itself. A moving current that winds, twists, turns rhythmically, resiliently, and resourcefully. For my music, waterfalls are nature's version of an acronym I use to sum up the human and divine connections that link grit with grace. Whoops. WHOOPS. When humans overcome obstacles, Providence smiles. Yeah, life is giving us a second chance. I said life has given us a second chance. You know life has given us a second chance. Open our hearts and dance, dance, dance. When our roads and our goals are clear, sing that.
When our roads and our goals are clear,
My past not bedeviled by fear.
my past not bedeviled by fear.
We're like a bird gliding on the breeze.
We're like a bird flying on the breeze.
We can channel life's current with ease.
We can channelize courage with ease.
So angels, sweet angels, won't you know us kids? Love flows best when we follow our bliss. Say goodbye to old doubts and hello to new peaks. Life has given us a brand new lease. Yeah, life is giving us a second chance. I said life has given us a second chance. You know life has given us a second chance to open our hearts and dance, dance, dance. When we're courageously speaking our truth, echo that back.
We're courageously speaking our truth.
It's like we're drinking from a fountain of youth.
It's like we're drinking from a fountain of youth.
We feel light, lively and loose.
We feel light, lively and loose.
Our cup running over with juice.
Our cup runneth over with juice.
So angels, sweet angels, won't you blow me a kiss? Love flows best when we follow all this. Say goodbye to old doubts and hello to new peace. Life has given us a brand new lease. Yeah, life has given us a second chance. I said life has given us a second chance. You know life has given us a second chance to open our hearts and dance, dance, dance. When our passion and our purpose entwine, echo that.
When our passion and our purpose entwine,
Our head and our heart align.
our head and our heart align.
Our life is ours to shape and design.
Our life is ours to shape and design.
To hone and polish our gifts till they shine.
To hold and polish our gifts till they shine.
last thing, then we bring on the main attraction. Some of you probably know this, probably not too many do. In just 3 days, John Porcino turns 61.
No.
And I thought about singing something, and maybe we will at intermission. And I think it would probably be a lot more meaningful if I simply mentioned that 25% of all of the proceeds in this book go directly to the John Porcino Birthday Bash Fund. And I'm pretty sure the same thing goes with anything you buy from Don White, too. All 25% goes to Johnny Porcino's fund. So in case you won't be able to be there tomorrow night, here's one last taste of what I hope to share, and you'll get a little sense of so I'm choosing to break the silence because I discovered firsthand that the stigma of depression is a box built on 4 S's: shame, secrecy, silence, and separation. And if the 4th S becomes too extreme, you add a 5th S and the box becomes a casket. This is a light for all the lives lost, and for all the lives saved, and for all of you who at some point or another have dealt with darkness, and have had to dig deep in your own despair and come up with some little flicker of light, some little spark that reminds us of the age-old truth of this proverb, that it is always better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. Because one small candle can ignite a whole bunch of others. It's a miracle. Happy Hanukkah in June. It's not for nothing that I was, for a long time, the only Jewish juggler in Jersey who was not an accountant. All right, before anyone accuses me of being anti-Semitic, I'll try to come back to what I was saying. So it would seem at times that it might take a miracle to be able to dismantle the stigma and all of the stereotypes and labels that lump us and confine us into boxes. It can be a tall order. One that to actually be able to pull off would seem to require something almost like magic. But I can tell you firsthand, I lived it, I lived through it, and I'm alive today because at the base, there was a solid community, an interconnected network of family and friends who stayed with me every step of the journey. And when you've got support like that, it turns out you don't have to really believe in magic, because the real magic is in believing. To quote the writer Dan Burris, sometimes it's only when we can see. Some of you in the front row may wind up with these on your lap. It's about the only place I can do it. Sometimes it's only when we can see the invisible that we can do the impossible. I will now swallow the box. Actually, what I'd like to do is to get you to help me with a little finger popping rhythm. To these, break the silence, bring down the stigma, balancing act, balloon. And hey, when it all falls into place, it's completely foolproof. Whoops! WHOOPS. When humans overcome obstacles, Providence smiles. All right, thank you very much. You've been very patient. Now you get to hear the person you really came to hear. And I don't know if too many of you need much of an introduction, but the only thing I think I'd like to say is that Don has paid his dues. You know, he worked doing the whole stand-up comedy thing. Was he Catch a Rising Star in Boston? And, you know, that's sweat equity. You don't get to be good as a stand-up comic unless you're willing to have the guts to bomb and be in front of people and keep trying and tailoring and honing and polishing material. He is really a consummate craftsman. Please welcome singer, songwriter, storyteller, humorist, par excellence, Don White.
Hello, everyone. Hello.